Jenny. I'm super happy to talk to you today. For those watching here, can you tell them a little bit more about your business and what actually inspired you to start your business and what is your mission?
Yeah. So I run Altogether Wellness, which is a therapy and wellness just aimed at helping young families thrive. And so my inspiration behind that was really about my career as a physical therapist. I work primarily with children and medically complex neurologic injuries and just knew there had to be more. So I was in the homes or working bedside with these families. I was seeing the complexity of everything that went into their recovery, not just the medical care they were getting, the therapy, but also the nutrition, the sleep, the stress, and all of those things, and how that was impacting or not impacting their recovery in a good way, right? And so paralleling that with my own health journey, as I really dove into functional medicine to solve some of my own health issues, I knew that this was something I needed to bring into medicine and had a passion for bringing it all together. And therefore, we have Altogether Wellness, which really aims at breaking down those silos in the differences in care and wellness and bringing that all together to make our families their best.
Yeah, we had this conversation multiple times. Every time I asked you, who is your ideal client? Sometimes you would say both the child and the parent because they're all together. And sometimes the child is the one that needs help first, but then the mother comes in. So you help the whole system. So it's really awesome. And what were your biggest challenges in the beginning of your journey? Which is not when we started, right? We started working together a little later in your journey, but what was the biggest thing that was happening in the beginning of your business?
Yeah, I think switching from a traditional healthcare model, I would say one of those first challenges was the imposter syndrome, right? Just being confident in what I was doing and knowing I was good enough, right? That I didn't have to know it all. I just needed to know more than my client and continue to grow and develop. So I think that was probably the number one and first barrier that I faced. And then I think the second one was just appreciating the things that I am not good at. And that's eventually where we came to work together. But finding that person who could build me a website, create me a logo, really create a brand. And I think there's so many people who think, oh, I can just do that and do those things and then moving on into knowing your numbers and things like that. There's so much more that you can do and grow and create if you just stay with what you're good at and find the people that align with you to do the rest.
Yes, finding your genius and staying in your genius and learning how to hire so that you can also hire the people that will have the genius you're lacking. You always have a genius, right? I think
Right.
that was one of the big things we also worked on together. So, what were these specific challenges that led you to get my help? What was specifically going on there?
Yeah. As you had mentioned, we had known each other in a previous relationship and role as I was growing my business. And really, where I knew that I needed you and I wanted your expertise in particular was all around that mindset reset. So there was a lot of I knew I needed to be doing, but I think I was chasing the task instead of creating the bigger vision of the rhythm of my day and my week and why that was so important. And so I knew that I wanted that particular piece from you. I know you're very good at coming back to that why and creating the strategy and the reason and the space around doing that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I remember when we first spoke, you wanted to move away from also being the business operator and being able to be more the CEO of a company. And you were breaking even, starting to become profitable. So, what's changed there for you, or what actually got better since we started working together?
Oh gosh, lots of things, right? So I think one of the things that you are big on, and I think it was something I knew was important, but I also needed the accountability and the tools that was tracking my numbers, right? I can't make those changes. I can't grow without having that real time data in front of me. And so not only just tracking them, but learning to love my numbers and appreciate what they mean for me as a business. So I think that's was really a big one. But there were so many other things that I didn't necessarily come into the thinking I needed or wanted, but having just an overall scorecard of how I show up every day and how that impacts my business and how I run my business and the decisions I make. And so in creating that process, and being the CEO in that way, I have definitely seen the downstream effects in how I run my business too.
Yeah. I always loved how you brought the numbers to our conversations. Very quickly you got that. I see a lot of business owners hating numbers or not wanting to look at them, but you quickly got your KPIs in place. You started tracking everything. You also had a system. So that happened, but you also noticed that your team wasn't necessarily ideal. So you started to upgrade your team as well. For the past year, you've been upgrading your team. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, again, coming back to having that rhythm and being in tune with everything day to day was so critical to understanding very quickly when I had both providers and other staff members who were meeting the needs and being able to look at our numbers and objectively make those decisions about who needs to be coached and who needs to be improved on and how do I do that and who needs to be removed from the team because they're just not contributing and they're not going to reach that potential. I think one thing I've always been good at is making decisions pretty quickly, but I think, again, fine-tuning that process of how and why, to not make rash or inappropriate decisions, but to be able to move quickly enough to support my business was a definite improvement in our process too.
Yes, we recently discussed this how amazing business owners make decisions very quickly and change them very slowly. So I could see you making very quick decisions in the past year. And it's just showing the progress as well that you're having now in your business. And a remarkable celebration for me coming from you was when you told me that you were fully maxed out, your full capacity, and you had a wait list.
Why?
So can you tell us a little bit more about that and how that happened? How did you get to the point of having a wait list to work with you?
Gosh, I think for and I'll be totally honest, I didn't go up after that necessarily in a sales way. It it wasn't growing that way. It was the organic growth of investing in my team, creating really good systems, and improving our processes that created the wait list because we were getting a reputation out in the community for doing something really well, not just providing that service, but in the support we provided for that service as well. So making sure that everybody understands their vision, mission, component of the team, and how important that is to the overall process is what ended us in a position where we have a wait list and are continuing to expand.
Yeah, it was amazing to hear you say you had a wait list. Now you had to double your space. Now you had to hire more people. That's what I call quality problems.
Yeah.
Problems that every single business owner wants to have at some point, but in a healthy way because everything was under control, right? You knew what was going on. They were planned, it was predicted. So that was really awesome. So how are you feeling about that now?
It's exciting, right? And I think it's now at the point where I have to decide where do I want to go next, right? And I shared this with you as well when I started off almost 3 years ago. I had a 5-year business plan and I met the 5-year goals in 18 months. And then we started working together and I've now met my 10-year goals. And so I think been, it's exciting, but it's also a little bit overwhelming in the sense that I've continued to need to upgrade my processes and upgrade our workflows and our space and what we're doing and how we do things because we continue to grow. And so I think for me, the next challenge has become like, where do I want to go? Is this where I want it to be in the business or I think it's easy to step into wanting to grow because the opportunity is there, whereas I need to realign that with who I am and where I want to go.
That you're learning a magic trick, which is to band time,
Yeah.
achieving your goal so quickly. If you could say three things, like if you could just define what needed to happen for you to be able to band time like that and achieve your 10-year goals in 3 years or your 5-year goals in 8 months, what would you say? What are like the three most important things that every single business owner needs to know?
Yeah. So I think first and foremost, right? And I'm big on this in my business and you are in coaching as well, which is why we align so much, is you have to take care of yourself. If you aren't investing in your own health and your own time, taking care of your own mindset, there is absolutely no way you're going to reach those goals. Or if you do, you're going to be burned out, exhausted, dealing with chronic health issues by the time you get there and not enjoy the benefits of reaching your business goals, right? I think number one for me is always that. And I feel There are seasons where I gave that up for a little bit, but coming back to it quickly and knowing that was at the top of my list was super important and will always stay there. Number two, I think, is knowing your numbers. Even if you're not a numbers person, you need to be able to dive into your numbers to quickly look at what's happening. Are we trending in the right direction? Set projections, know if you can grow, know if those are good decisions to make, or if they're going to be the things that tank you. Because I think as a small business, especially when you're starting out, you're one step away from that if you make a not so great financial decision, right? Confidently being able to make decisions about where business is going using numbers. And I think number three is investing in the right team around you. And that includes employees, but it also includes coaches at the right times with the right resources and the right skills like you. And so thank you so much for that because I knew that was exactly what I needed when I reconnected with you and we were able to do this.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love the three of them. I completely agree with you. So taking care of yourself, your numbers, and your team, or whoever is around, like your support system. Support system is so crucial. Was there any unexpected benefits or surprise along the way that you've received from this process?
Oh, you mean in working together with us or in business in general?
Whatever big benefit or surprise you experienced.
Yeah. I think number one, right? We went through, not only have we gone through a lot of rapid growth, but some pretty significant team changes, needing to grow out of space, things that in the past probably would have stressed me out and created more of a diversion for me. So I knew that mindset was a component of this for me, but I think I underestimated how much I could change that process. I think I had even shared with you at one point after I went through all this, and my husband knew. I mean, listening to me, he was like, "This is why I could never run a business." And we went out to dinner that weekend, and he said, "I feel like you've handled this like it was no big deal, right?" And I think to me it was like a really good insight because we different anyway in how we process that stuff. But for him to see that I've really just rolled with it, and I did. Wait, it upset me for a day, and then it was like, "What am I going to do about it?" And moved on. And like I said, I knew mindset was why I went into this, but I also feel like I have achieved what I expected and more.
Yeah,
And it
I
just
love
makes
that.
me that much quicker as a business owner when I can do.
I know you definitely became more resilient. So something that used to upset you so much is just a thing now. It's part of business. I think that people believe that at some point they're never going to be completely upset about things. I think you can get upset. The problem is how long you stay in that upsetting state. So you can feel upset and move on.
Yeah, we're not a human, right? You still have all of those emotions, but what you choose to do with them and how you change how they empower you and the frequency that, you just choose to vibe at every day, I think makes such a difference.
You're bending time. You're already achieved your 10-year goal. So talking about the future, what are you the most excited about the future of your business?
Oh, gosh, what am I most excited about? Honestly, I think most excited about the time freedom. We've worked hard to increase hourly value and change that perception of what I needed to do versus what could be handed off to somebody else and the importance of what I spend most of my time on each week. And I think for me, we just made the decision a couple weeks ago that I'm going to do a homeschooling partnership for my son for next year. And that was out of the question 6 months ago. So knowing that I'm gonna have the time to do that is huge for me.
Wow, Jenny, this is a new celebration. Congratulations.
Thank
Wow, I
you.
know it means a lot to you. A lot.
And the fact that 6 months ago, that wasn't even an option, I think is huge for me. Yeah. That
Oh, that's amazing. Yes. Wow. Just to hear you say that, I feel goosebumps all over my body because one of the things that you brought to me in the beginning of our work was how much you were working and how
right,
many hours you were putting in the business and how it was not profitable at all.
right.
But you knew deep inside that it was a temporary situation and there had to be a better way that we had to figure that out. One of the things that we worked a lot to get was on increasing your hour value. Like you said, just for those understanding here, hour value is not how much you charge per hour, but it's how much your hour is worth based on how many hours you work. The outcome is to increase your revenue without depending on your time. And then what's going to happen is that normally you're going to work less and earn so much more. Your hour value keeps increasing. And I know that was one of the things you worked on. We created different offers, different pricing, different systems, a recurring revenue system for you too. So when you think about like how you structured your business and how it is right now, what is an opportunity that you see now that you can continue to work on to keep improving your business?
Yeah, I think part of it last year for me was improving and laying the foundation for having the right systems in place, having the right strategies. And now because we've set all that up, it's really about being able to grow in volume, to grow to that next level without having to break all of those things again. We've created a process that works that continues to provide the level of care that we think is so important. And now we can start to expand on that. But we've got those systems and processes to make it smooth and streamlined and easy to replicate, and my team is really clear on how to do that. So I think that for me is exciting because it's not about continuing to break and redo, which was where I was at with the rapid growth. And again, a good problem to have. But now I feel like we're in a place where these systems will support us for a long time and we can come back to being creative and just providing the best quality care, which is so important to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. There are so many people that don't want to grow their business consciously or unconsciously because they don't have the foundation. So it's almost like if you want to build a skyscraper in weak soil. So we can wrap up advice that you would give to other business owners who are working too much, who are operating their business entirely, who are exhausted, who are tired. What would you tell them?
Yeah, I think I've been doing this. So I've had this business 3 years, but I've been at this for almost 11 now. And my number one recommendation always, whether it's business, healthcare, anywhere, is find a coach. It's so hard to see when you're in your day to day where those discrepancies are, where your blind spots are, where your opportunities to improve are. And until you find somebody that you align with and you can work with who understand what your goals are and can help you review what's going on and reset to really optimize all of that, I think you're just going to be spinning your wheels. And I meet so many businesses who are afraid to make that investment because of the cost, because of the time, and because they're afraid of what's going to get uncovered. And I just think you end up shorting yourself and sitting in a place of not growing for so much longer when you do that. So finding somebody who can raise you to that next level is hands down my number one suggestion.
Yeah. I walk my talk. That's my number one advice always to myself and to others. Thank you so much, Jenny. You were wonderful. I know you're going to keep bending time. I will keep watching your success and seeing you grow. And I just can't wait to see how this transformation is going to transform your personal life, your family as well, your son's story. Imagine being able to grow with you so close to him. This is such an amazing thing in life. So, thank you so much for this awesome conversation. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.